Today, I want to welcome you to our enlightening panel discussion where leading experts unravel the mysteries of healing the witch wounds. Today, we'll dive deep into personal and historical traumas tied to the suppression of feminine wisdom. Our speakers will share transformative insights on self-healing, empowerment, and the power of community. Join us on this journey of reclaiming authenticity and breaking free from societal constraints. Let's explore the path to balance, harmony, and thriving together. We welcome you to Sacred You.
And welcome everybody to another fabulous and close to my heart conversation with some gorgeous women here that I have been on call with before, perhaps not Natasha. So today we're going to be talking about healing the witch wounds, and we've got some questions that I will present, and I will also hand you over to each panelist to introduce themselves. But first, I just want to thank and honor the Sacred You community for allowing us to speak on such a myriad of topics that we have on a weekly basis in our community. And I'll share a little bit more about Sacred You community at the end of this talk. And I just want to say that this is really a beautiful sacred community filled with incredible people that some run tribes, some are members that like to stay in the background, some love to come on the panel discussions, and we have a whole lot of things that you can enter into when you become a Sacred You member. And we really are about communication, connection, fabulous conversations, and building like-minded community for ourselves and coming together as a collective. So I'll introduce myself first since I'm already speaking. I'm Julie Nelson Rich Witch. I actually run a tribe on a Friday afternoon currently from 12:30 to 1:30 Sydney, Melbourne time. And even with the time zone change, the time will stay whatever Sydney, Melbourne time is. It's 12:30, 1:30 all of the time, because that makes it easier for me and many of my Australian audiences. So I'm a clinical aromatherapist of 31 years, an astrologer of 27. I've been a practicing witch for decades, and I'm also an artist and a botanical perfumer. So I bring a lot of my things in together, and we cover and have a lot of fun in my bewitching tribe with all of those topics. So now I shall hand you over to Sky Baxter to introduce herself, and then I'll just keep going as it is on my Zoom.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sky, and I'm a shadow integration specialist. So what that tends to mean is I work a lot with generational trauma. So this panel as well is super close to my heart because I do a lot of past life healing, a lot of inner witch healing, a lot of shadow work, all the parts that you have rejected and disowned from conditioning, from suppression, like all of those sort of things. I come from a master NLP and timeline therapist background, as well as an advanced hypnotherapist, which encompasses clinical hypnotherapy, conversational pain management specialist, so listening into the body when it actually is in pain and trying to find the root cause or the underlying cause of that. So yeah, that is a little bit about what I do. I won't keep obviously everyone, because I could go on forever about all of the things that I do.
I think we all could.
But that's kind of like a real like shortened nut version. There you go.
Thank you, Sky. Elizabeth Kipp, hello and welcome.
Well, thank you, Julie. Oh, hello, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Kipp. I live in Lawrence, Kansas, in the middle of the United States. I'm a stress management and historical trauma specialist, trauma trained and yoga informed addiction recovery coach and ancestral clearing practitioner. I also have come from a family who has, I think we can count down now, we count like 12 generations now of people that are dedicated to the land and plants. I have a plant science degree, which I kind of I knew that my parents and my grandfather was involved in plants, but the family history since then was something that I learned much later in my life. I had no idea we had so many roots. So, you know, this particular topic is near and dear to my heart because I really feel like I come from a deep lineage of wise women.
I love that. Thank you. And I think here too, and in the community, we have some very wise women and men in the Sacred You community. Thank you. And I totally relate to your plant medicine and healing the earth and honoring the earth. Alison.
Hi, everyone. I am a holistic wellness facilitator, and I work with people and their pets. And I have a background as a quantum touch healing instructor, touch for health instructor, heart math practitioner, muscle tuner specialist, and then a whole host of other things that I pull together, as we all do. And I help women predominantly, but men too, deal with the effects of chronic stress and anxiety and overwhelm, reducing pain physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and ultimately being the best that they can be. And we can't do that if we're stuck in trauma or pain or fear or anxiety. And I also help animals get past their own trauma and their own issues, which helps a lot with behavioral issues and also health and wellness. Thanks.
I love that. And I love that you work with animals. And I just remembered we've got to get together. So please connect in with me. Yes, our animals carry a lot of trauma. I won't go into that because I get very ranty about it. So I'll stop now. Natasha, welcome. And I do know you. I'm sorry.
Hiya, thank you. Thank you for having me here, Julie. It's nice to meet the rest of you. I haven't met the rest of you. I'm looking forward to this discussion. I am a clinical hypnotherapist by profession, but like Sky said so beautifully, that we all have like so much experience and like other modalities. I have recently found a very deep connection between self-worth and money and the energy of money. And that's what I work with now with my clients. And hypnotherapy is just one of the tools I use when it's needed. And there's pranic healing and crystals and all the rest. I mean, I think we're pretty well balanced here in terms of qualifications on this panel.
Yeah.
I'm a speaker, a mentor, and a 5 times published international best-selling author. And I don't write on any subject in particular because my self-awareness journey to self-actualization now has been so rapid every time I've written something that if you were to ask me today what I wrote about first, I would really hesitate and have to really remember. It's just wonderful. And Sacred You has been really instrumental in holding the space for conversations with people who are at least on the same vibrational journey, with non-judgment and love and support. And that's been amazing. I host a tribe on Thursdays, 8:30 a.m. Australian time. I am originally from England, but I live now in India. I'm married and I have 2 kitty cats who are my babies. And yeah, it's an evolving journey. If you speak to me next week, I'll probably have a different introduction altogether. So thank you for having me on the panel. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Natasha. The reason I chose healing the witch wounds can also be spoken about healing the wounds with any woman, as being a female panel. We know that for centuries that women have been classified as second-rate citizens, still are in some countries, or we have been put to a halt. And I just wanted to bring something to mind, because women used to be, like, the matriarchy used to be in some places. They were the leaders rather than the patriarchy. And what I desire to see is all of the old systems broken down so that we can rebuild them with a balance of matriarchy and patriarchy. And that's one of my dreams. And not long ago, actually, it was at Christmas, I went to an Egyptian exhibition here in our museum, and I took a photo of a plaque that stated how back in those times women and men were equal. And every now and then I post that up just to remind people that we are equal, but we carry many wounds generationally as well, not just our own. So our first question is, and I absolutely know everybody is going to be able to answer this with such ease and passion, is what can you recommend to help the process of healing these deep wounds? And we are specifically talking about women. So, Elizabeth.
Thank you for the question. I think the first thing is to bring in awareness. And for me, I have this old habit of denial, which is so ingrained in me that I don't even know I'm doing it sometimes. It can be so subtle, right? So awareness and being honest has been it would be a huge piece. Now, I do ancestral clearing. It's a trademarked registered product that John Newton developed. Howard Wills pioneered it, and John Newton of Health Beyond Belief trademarked it, and he teaches it. I'm one of his practitioners. What I love about it is that we're bringing in creator energy, source energy, to help us release that which no longer serves us, with the understanding that, like, if I could have figured out how to do that, I would have done it by now. I need some help. So I love that. The other thing is that we use the process accesses the present moment. And everyone here knows, but I'm just saying for everyone who's listening, we can access past, present, and future all at once through the present moment, which is why we can do this ancestral clearing work, right? It's beautiful. So, so what we bring in as a practitioner of that, my job really with the client or the group that I'm working with, I do groups and privates as well, is to attune to the space, stay present, and really just kind of get my ego out of the way and just offer what's here in the present moment. The information's right here. I do a lot of work with the witch wound, with women's wounds, with the patriarchy, with the I call them the Magdalene wounds, 3 wounds that women carry. There's more than 3 wounds, but those are specific to her. Just really briefly, the women and their bodies, their sexuality, women and their intuition, and women standing in their power. So those 3, I do lots and lots of work around that.
Beautiful.
So the quantum field and honesty.
Yes. And I love that you said acknowledgement, because first we have to truly acknowledge and accept that we do need that deep inner healing, because if we don't, it's very hard to take the next steps. And I always feel that when we self-love is a very, very big part of that. So what I'm going to ask, I'm going to rephrase that question, is more about like, do you have one or two tips or recommendations that people could possibly look at to go into some healing where they feel safe? Because we've got a few questions and I thought, let's try and get through them all. And I love what you said, Elizabeth. I just realized that I may not have made that question as clear as what I could have.
Well, I could bring in an example of what that would look like. What an ancestor, just an example of that. So we could call whatever this is, that's the source of all that is, why don't we call it infinite creator? We ask it, infinite creator, for us and everyone listening to this, for all of our relationships and all of our ancestors and all of their relationships throughout all space, time, dimension, realms, lifetimes, and incarnations.
Yeah.
For all the times we were shut down, persecuted, not allowed to, whatever helped us, kept us from living in our authentic self, and whatever kept us living in the illusion of separation. Please help us all forgive and release one another, forgive and release ourselves, please and thank you.
Thank
Simple
you.
little prayer.
Yeah, thank you. I think we need to do a topic on forgiveness, because I have my own very strong points about that, but we won't go into that right now. But yes, I love that. Sky, what one or two things can you recommend to help the process of healing?
Well, definitely what Elizabeth said is like awareness. We need to have awareness first. And
Yes.
a lot of the times, especially when we are sort of, dealing with a witch wound or feel like we have a witch wound, the massive awareness thing, and something that I would like to sort of bring to attention, is that the overwhelming emotions, things that you are carrying, that almost feel that they're so big that it's like, how am I carrying all this stuff? You don't know where it comes from. You want to sort of look into it and be like, why am I carrying all this fear? Why am I carrying all this stuff? Why am I carrying this? It's so overwhelming, and I don't even know, can't link it to anything. And like, I've really sort of attracted a lot of baby witches in my life in the last few months, which has been super exciting for this, of like, they have that awareness, but they're also carrying a lot of, like, as Elizabeth said, and that's just about forgiveness, a lot of anger, a lot of rage, a lot of hurt, and a lot of all these things that are also underlying the fear and, the prosecution, because that's a lot of what the fear is, the prosecution.
Yes.
So being able to clear that. Now, like, I know Elizabeth works with a lot of, clearing the generational, clearing the, which is awesome. As I said, I use modalities. Timeline therapy is my absolute favorite. Think of it as like root cause therapy. We are traveling back to the actual root cause. And a lot of the times, especially with the women that I work with, when we're doing things like clearing this overwhelming sense of fear, this overwhelming sense of prosecution, we always end up in a past life. And I really sort of encourage to gain the lessons, because when you can let go of all of the anger and all of the rage and all of the hurt and all of the things, you can take on all of the wisdom from your ancestors. You can take all that on. You can bring that into the present day and use it. All of the messages, all of the lessons that you can bring through. As a cycle breaker, I like my lineage, from a few generations back, was the patriarchy. I watched my entire line become suppressed. So as the person that stepped out of that place and into moving back into, that, I like to call it a cutting of the cord. I don't necessarily like to call it forgiveness due to trauma that people have attachments to that. Same process, same everything. All we're doing is we're calling our power back. We're calling all the stuff back that's ours, and we're giving all of the stuff back that's not ours. All of the things that have been conditioned upon us that we should be or do, or whatever else the case may be. As Elizabeth said, like a big denial. My biggest wound was like non-rest. If I stopped, I was lazy. and all of those sort of things. So being able to sort of honor that space and come back into self and going, no, in order to tap into my beautiful creativity and my beautiful, sense of how I am and how I show up in the world, I need to stop. I need to pull back from all of the stories that everyone else keeps telling me of how I should be and what I could do. And, I'm too loud, I'm too this, I'm too that. Like I've got it, nobody likes like a woman with tattoos. Nobody likes a strong woman. Nobody likes this. Like, cool story, bro. Like, knowing that that's their shit, not ours.
I love that.
And like really giving that back and sort of really healing that core wound so you can take your lineage's wisdom and lessons and, power and bring it into today.
Thank you. Yes, I love that. And you just brought to mind, I love cutting cords as well. And what you were sharing as well with Elizabeth, I interviewed a lady recently who is in our Sacred You group, Anne Alexson, who wrote a book. Now, isn't that shocking? But I think the main title is Being Unfuckwithable. And it's a fabulous book. And we had so much fun on the podcast that we ended up speaking for 2 hours. So I had to break it into two, but it was just like, oh my God, we want more of this. So I totally get it. And it just reminded me of what you were both saying. So we've looked at acknowledgement, awareness, forgiveness, cutting of the cords. I think self-love is a big part of it. Alison, and I'm just going to say, let's keep it to a minute for everybody. And then what we can do is if we have time after, then we can come in and go a little bit deeper. So do you have something you can recommend for people to help process their healing?
Yes, as Sky and Elizabeth have said, self-awareness, really looking at the patterns that we live our life, right? So for example, my mother was married 8 times. That's a clear pattern there. And if she had been able to look at that pattern and go a little deeper and acknowledge that, oh, gee, my life really isn't working out the way I wanted it to. This is my pattern. Maybe I need to do something different. What can I do? Where can I go for help? But to be willing to acknowledge, to be willing to look deeper is important. And just acknowledge that we have a pattern, that we have stuff going on, and that does not make us less worthy. It does not make us unlovable. It's finding an acceptance within ourselves that we are okay with who we are, flaws and all, and that we are loved and we are worthy. And learning to tap into and find that sense of self-acceptance and self-love goes a long way into being okay with who we are.
Yes, I agree. And before we jump in with Natasha, please know that everybody's links will be added to the comment section under this video, so that if you want to connect with any of the gorgeous women here because you relate, you can have that access to them. I'm going to give you my formula, which I throw out everywhere, because for me it is about, first we have to acknowledge it, then accept it, which brings us to the excuse me, the healing to self-love. And when we have that self-love, we then build our confidence and we feel more worthy, which then makes us more attractive or magnetic to be able to manifest what we desire. And I just love that formula because I kind of feel like it speaks it in one sentence. Natasha, please share. And thank you, Alison. Looking deeper.
So everyone's already said the ABCs of how self-healing works, and I completely agree with all of it. For my bit, I'd like to just take a step back and go for the macro view of the whole thing, the whole Carl Jung and the collective subconscious. And whilst, yes, it's important to each of us to work on our own healing journeys and the shadow work, there's also, once we're past that, which all the women here know, and in a way they've expressed it as well. So for those who are listening who maybe haven't tapped into that part, it's about that when you're working on your self-healing journey, and for that, by the way, you can use any modality because all roads lead to Rome. You can do Reiki, you can do meditation, you can do yoga, you can do hypnotherapy. I mean, anything. It's just about being aware that there's another picture beyond the conditioning. There's another picture beyond school, college, university that doesn't even start even showing you what the reality is about. That is programming you to come out and be another brick in the wall and part of the conveyor system. And that's not what life on earth is about. You have to find your own value and your own position. And part of that is by not belonging, because we're all unique. And that takes us way back to the ancestors, our great grandmothers who knew this. And that is what was shut down. That wisdom, that value, that we're each unique and we're each extremely powerful only because we are directly tapped into source. That's what was shut down, closed, maimed, burnt at the stake. And we know the history. And yes, of course, it was like painted under the patriarchy and whatever. But now we all know that the energy is shifting, and the feminine energy is rising up, and that's just absolutely wonderful. And it's cyclical, and that's what nature is all about as well. And it's important to understand that between the women uprising and us healing from what's been done to us as a collective, as a womanhood, that we don't need to surpass the men and put them down and take revenge for what's happened to us. It's about balance. It's about the divine feminine needing and nurturing the divine masculine to also arise so we can hold each other. And then only will there be light.
Yep, I love
That's
that.
my really important belief.
Yeah. And so I'm just going to add to that, because I always talk about, smashing the patriarchy, all of this. I'm not talking about men themselves. I'm talking about the old systems that are in place that do not work, and they need to be stripped down and rebuilt. And I love everything that everybody has said. Now we're halfway through our chat, so I'm going to bring a couple of the questions together. But I also wanted to say that we're very aware of not all people, or nor all women are aware of their healing, their deep wounds. But some of the things I want to just suggest, that if you are feeling that that there's something not sitting right within you, that that there may be some healing that needs to be done, you can tap into, there are a myriad of practitioners and therapists out there that you can go to even start the process. But even from home, if that might be too much for you, think about, look at your own behavior, look at your thoughts, your feelings, your words, because our thoughts, feelings, and words are our wand. So what we keep focused on, we do create. And this is scientific, and there's no getting away from it. It can be all measured now. So perhaps even to start with small steps like meditation. So when I say meditation, you don't have to sit in silence. You don't have to be doing the and, it's more about find what works for you. Like I do a whole variety of different meditations and visualizations. It's all about finding what works with you and trust what your inner self is saying. These are really your first steps. Like listen to yourself. I'm an affirmation person. I've been doing affirmations for many years. You might call it intention setting or spellcrafting for me. And understanding your blueprint. So again, you can get help with this and remembering that the magic is within you and you know everything you need to know. So sometimes a simple thing that you can do at home is simply sit quietly and ask. And I do this when I feel stuck sometimes is, what are my next steps? What do I need to do now? And the answer may not come straight away, but it will come. And it could be, you need help with this. We're as practitioners, we're not necessarily our greatest practitioner. So it's fantastic that we can have the option to go with somebody that we align with, that we can do this healing with. So just think about little things, even that might bring you pleasure. Bring pleasure into your day every day, which can help to raise your vibration. These are just a few little things that you could do if you're not ready to go and see someone. So our next questions, I'm going to put them together. Do you feel unsafe speaking your truth out loud? So I'm not actually asking the panelists because I know where they're at. These are questions for our audience. And although feel free to answer for yourself, does being authentically seen by others feel threatening? And I would just like to put in with that, like once upon a time I used to, when I was younger, because I didn't understand my power and I always came across as angry because I was disempowered. But now that I'm empowered, quite frankly, I don't give a fuck what people think about me. And I don't say that in a careless way because I really care. And I'm an activist with women rising and animals and Mother Earth and all of this. It's coming back to myself. But I've had to work. I've been working with myself and self-healing for over 3 decades. So I would love to, Alison, and I'm just going to say, Alison, can you turn your volume up just a wee bit? Just a bit softer
that
than
better?
Yeah,
Okay,
I think
good.
so.
Okay, awesome. All right. Those are great questions. And yes, I have felt very unsafe speaking my truth for many years. And it wasn't until I'd hit the 50 mark. And I'd always wanted to advertise one of the courses that I had developed, which was learning all about ritual and Wicca and paganism and creating a sacred space. And I'd been so afraid of, advertising that on Facebook and various places. And then I just finally decided I'm old enough. I don't give a flying hoot what other people think of me. And I will attract the people who want to, and the people who think I'm flaky, well, that's fine. That doesn't impact who I am. And so it was very empowering to do that. But it was such a struggle, the fear and what are people going to think? I might lose friends or, whatever, right? But it was really empowering to just go ahead and do it. And that allowed me then to be more authentic and allowed other people to actually come out of their shell a little bit, that it can be done. little tiny baby steps maybe, but it can be done. And we find the people that we can be safe with.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. And I'm going to add something else to that as well. Several years ago, I decided to release all my friends because, and I'm talking friends that I love, I still love and respect and honor. And they've been my friends for as long as I've been in Australia, which is, I was working out, it's like something like 48, 49 years. And it wasn't that I rang them up or said, I don't want to be your friend anymore. I actually created a ritual and I just released them with the intent that if they ever connected in with me, I'd always be there, or if they ever needed me, I'd be there. But we were traveling such different paths. And I was growing because I was very much into self-growth. And I just felt that it wasn't conducive to my life and I called in new people, and that's exactly what came. So it's okay to let go of what isn't serving you, which I think Elizabeth spoke of. And it doesn't mean that you have to cut them out. It's more about living true to yourself. And that is very much about healing from deep within as well, I feel. Sky, that's totally fine. We're going to keep it to that time. And if you have to pop off, that's totally fine. Elizabeth.
Love the questions. I'm just going to bring this in. In ancestral clearing, when we use the word forgiveness, we mean offering up that which no longer serves us. It's a very specific meaning. And as to the questions that you were asking about speaking my truth, I actually had to heal my codependent wound, which, had roots in my ancestry, of course, but it mattered to me in my codependent wound. It mattered to me what other people said. And, I was used to being told, sit down, shut up. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say. Like, that's kind of the way I was raised, right? So how do you find love there? You get, that's what codependency is all about. So I had to heal that. And once I did that, I was able to stand in my power and find that, I remember a kind of an alpha male trying to shame me in a meeting before a meeting started. And I, if somebody tried to shame me in my codependent wound, I would be like, I would try to disappear into the chair, into the wall, or I would stand up and, make a scene, one or the other, right? In this case, I just said, you can try to shame me if you want. Good luck with that. And that just ended it.
Yeah.
But that's an example of healing that wound. Yeah. So that's what I did.
I love it. I love it. Yes. And that's when we come from an empowered place rather than disempowered. Yeah. And we all have the potential to be there. It's taking that next step and owning our boldness and courage. Natasha.
So I'd like to take this point past what Alison said. So I think the 50 mark going into not just 50, 50, 60, 70, even 40. 40 is like a major milestone as well. So 40 is when the story starts shifting. And then 50 is when you catch a glimpse of the power on the other side. And then 50 is like, oh my God, crone age. That's the fluff, and I am what I am, accept me or just take a hike. I mean, that just comes forward so beautifully. I'm about to turn 50 in 2 months, and this year is going to be epic. The holidays and the celebrations that I have planned, the ownership of my experience, of my knowledge. My last book that I was a contributing author to was, by the way, Julie, a trip to Egypt that we went to in September. And that was epic for my transformation and for just the powers that be to gift me just clarity on my power. And that's just been amazing. So yeah, like I said, if you ask me tomorrow, I'll be telling a different story because the shifts are just so fast. But yeah, Egypt, interesting that you said that. It's a connection. So yeah, I'm stepping into 50, and the book that came out of the Egypt trip is called Love Initiation. It was published in January of this year, and my chapter is segregated with the title 15 to 50, because 15 is when I had my universal download of my power. And I think just before I was 17, I actually locked it up and put it away because I didn't have enough guidance around me. I didn't know what to do with this power. And so I literally locked it up in a treasure chest and threw the key away. And I took it out a couple of times, when I really liked a guy or I needed a job or I wanted to buy my house. But otherwise, it was just locked away. So my whole chapter, very interestingly, given this conversation, I'm bringing it up, is 15 to 50, where the knowledge I had at 15 and where I'm at 50, stepping into my power. And it is the same thing that you guys are talking about, that our own authenticity, my own authenticity, gives me permission to show up vulnerably and share my journey in the hope that my message will reach the right ears that are waiting for my voice. And my story might serve as an inspiration. And that's why all the certificates are down from my wall. My wall is blank. And I just show up with my experience, and my gray hair gives me that permission. And that's better than any certificate. And I'm just so grateful, so joyful to be here, part of this panel, part of this community. I mean, these things that we have going right now, the world has no idea what power is being unleashed.
I love
really.
that. Yes.
Like, really.
I so love that. And I'm going to give you some good news that you're not in your crone stage now, because we now have 4 phases of the woman.
Don't
And
take that away from me, Julie.
no,
I'm
but
really looking forward to it.
the mega stage is phenomenal, because it is when women come out of like the motherhood. And I've worked with a lot of women where they're in that stage and they are reclaiming their power. Their kids have grown up, they might be empty nesters, and this is it needs to get out there, because the mega stage is when we come back, we reclaim ourselves, we reclaim our sexuality. We're reinventing ourselves to some degree, which is really exciting, because we are, how do I say it? Like, for me, going into my mega stage, it was like, yes, it was like this whole new beginning, and it was exciting. And yes, we hold all of the stages within us throughout our life, but let's not forget the mega stage, because it is a very life-changing. We're peri or post menopause, the kids have grown up, or you might be single, and it literally is reclaiming our power, because suddenly there is us. I've had many clients where their libido comes back and they want more sex. Forgive me if anybody is offended by that. But women who thought they'd lost it forever, and it's like, oh my God, this is like a new beginning, and their whole energy and sexuality is reignited. And I find it a very exciting stage. So grab onto it. We still have the crone energy with the wisdom, but that really starts around 70, 72 now. And who knows, in another 50 years, we could have a 5th phase before we reach the crone, because we keep living longer. And I think it's important to honor every phase that we go through. and, because they're all important. But I just wanted to share that. It was meant to be good news, not scary news. So our next question, and thank you, because I align with all of you, and we'll put, again, because we've only got 10 minutes, we'll put the two together, because I'd like a few minutes just to close off. Or say 12 minutes. Do you doubt and diminish your emotions and intuition? For me, I'm just going to say absolutely not now, but I understand myself very well. I used to. I live by my intuition, and I'm very watery, so I'm a very feeling person. So have a think about that. And do you often feel like you are both too much and not enough for society? I used to. Sometimes I still think I might be too much, but again, I don't really give a fuck. It doesn't matter, because it's me and my journey. I'm not here to insult anybody or harm people, but I'm owning Julie and the woman I have become through all the trauma that I have been through in my life, like so many women. So, Natasha, let's start with you.
I was just so mesmerized with what you were saying. Sorry. So the first question was, do I apologize for what? Sorry? And I'm apologizing.
Let me read it. Does being authentically seen by others feel threatening? And the other, no, sorry. Let me go back to that. Do you doubt and diminish your emotions and intuition? I said no. And number 5, do you often feel like you are both too much and not enough for society?
Right. Thank you. Thank you for recapping. So I'll completely mirror your answers as well. It is true that while I was working through my healing journey, my self-awareness journey, it's not been as easy as today standing up and saying, no, I don't anymore. And it is not just a function of age. It is also a function of the amount of work that one does on oneself, and then reaches a point where one can completely accept who one is. And that's what every song and every poem and every story that was ever written about, you can't love anyone else till you love yourself, and we don't understand what that means. It's just words. The true understanding comes when all the healing has been done, all the trauma has been addressed, and we can actually just sit with ourselves in peace. And that is the love, because that is joy and gratitude and just unconditional love. And it just so happens to be for yourself and the universe both at the same time. And that is the alignment. And that comes from finally healing the onion, then realizing that it's still a journey, die, and there's still going to be learnings, but we can own who we are. Warts and all, we are who we are, and that is a very powerful place. And how I have dealt with all the naysayers, the same people who I wanted validation from, whether it be friends or family, along my journey so far, now I simply just agree with them. So if somebody says, oh, what are you saying? That's so strange. I'm like, oh, isn't it? Ha ha ha. And I just laugh it off. Or, oh, you're such a spoiled brat. I'm like, yes, you've said that to me my whole life. But you know what? I'm a queen and I just deserve this. And then they just don't know how to answer anymore. So
Yeah.
the fuck off has actually taken on this glitz and glamour now, simply by just reflecting the truth back to the person who's saying it to put you down, or put me down rather. And I just flip it over and I'm like, yes, it's amazing.
Beautiful.
It's wonderful. And I love it. And I love you. And yeah, just laugh in their faces. They just don't know what to do with it.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
love
wonderful.
it. I hear you. I see you. It's fabulous. And
I love you, Julie.
you. Sky, what do you think? Do you need me to read those questions out again?
No, I can read them.
Oh, cool.
But thank you. Not anymore, or a little bit. So it's definitely something I work a lot with clients about, is obviously helping them to re-tap into their intuition, especially, and emotional regulation is just like one of my superpowers. And that is, I think, mainly because I am an emotional being. So working with a lot of my clients as well, I'm not a human design expert, but I do share parts that I can help my clients with, and that's just helping them understand their own unique energy. And sometimes having that little thing that explains it does help a lot for people to go, oh, that's why. And stuff like that. But I don't anymore diminish my intuition, but I will 100% admit, because I am going through the physical crap now, that I don't speak up enough when my intuition kicks off or when my emotions kick off. And my health is now playing, my health is now suffering the consequence of that.
Yes.
And, so I'm learning to sort of more speak up now when things are a niggle, rather than when I hit full blown like anger and resentment and because being an amazing person about patterns, I'm also incredibly understanding, and I'm being like, okay, this is the whys, this is how, just be patient, yada, yada, yada. No, I don't want to be patient anymore. And once again, not anymore. Feeling like I am not enough or too much for society. I get told all the time that I'm too loud, or I'm too, all this sort of stuff. Like, if the red hair and the tattoos didn't sort of tell you before I open my mouth, then my mouth sure will. And if my mouth doesn't tell you, my face fucking will. Because it's exhausting hiding. It's exhausting masking. It's exhausting, suppressing self in order to make everybody else around you comfortable. And that is definitely something that, once again, when you sort of heal those wounds, and I help a lot of people with that, they just sort of step out of that space now. And I think, like you said, Julie, like, I don't think I did it on purpose, but yes, I let go a lot of people in my life, family and people that I consider very close friends. I still love them. I love them all the way over there. But it took a long time for me to realize that as I grew and as I evolved and as I started stepping into myself, I couldn't fully do that unless I stopped trying to go back down to appease other people, and just be able to let them go with love and go, you know what, that's cool. You are going that way and I'm going that way, and that's okay.
Absolutely.
I think society has taught us that rejection is such a horrible thing, that we, especially women, cling to being loved by anybody so much, that we shut ourselves down in order to gain that. So when we can sort of step into ourselves and go, you know what, I love me for who I am, all of the crap that I am, everything that I am, then, like, I don't need your love. Your love is fantastic, and I will accept that, but I won't change who I am in order to get it, because I know that.
Absolutely. And sorry.
That's okay. I'm done now.
Conscious of time, I just want to give the other ladies a chance. Absolutely. And as you said, like, if we don't own who we are, if we hide away, we get sick. We simply get sick. So it's really important. So you've got a couple of minutes, Elizabeth and Alison. So please just share your thoughts, Elizabeth.
Sure, thank you. I don't doubt my intuition anymore, and thank God for my emotions and that I can feel them. I couldn't even do the work that I do without being able to be present, because it's all here. And so anyway, so I did, and I don't anymore, and thank goodness for that. And then the second one, do I feel like I'm both too much or not enough for society? My answer to that is the only way to win at the comparison game is to stop playing. That's my answer.
I love that. Yeah. We're not, just be who we are and own it. It's easy when we know how, and when we're at a point where we feel comfortable doing that. And so what we want to encourage women especially to do is just keep taking one step at a time. And I tell you, every decade gets better, better, and better. I'm in my mid-60s and I just fucking love it because I feel so good about myself, even through dark times. So Alison.
Okay. I'll make it quick. Yes, do I doubt and diminish my emotions and intuition? Sometimes I still do. But it wasn't until I was in my 40s that I understood and could find out the emotions below anger. Because all I felt was anger for so many years. And now I can identify emotions, which goes a long way for living a more authentic life.
Yeah.
And it allows me to listen to, you know, that little quiet voice or that feeling that I get. I don't think that I'm not enough, be better at what I do, or you know, all of those little voices that sometimes say, oh, you need yet another certificate or something to like prove my worth to other people. And so I have to balance that. I have to acknowledge those thoughts and then let them go, because it's not true. It's a holdover from the past, from childhood, from, you know, wherever.
Yeah, I really honor that. I love that. And thank you for sharing that, Alison, because it is a life journey. I personally feel through my own life journey, like the lessons and that I've had, the trauma, the, you know, all the yucky stuff has brought me to the place of where I am today. And so I wouldn't wish it on anybody else, but I really love the woman that I have become through all of it. And some of us reach it earlier, some of us may never, and others are somewhere in between. It doesn't matter. I think it's more, the most important thing is to honor where we are right now, and then just keep taking those steps. I never want to stop growing and healing. I think it's a part of a lifetime for me. Sometimes I think, why on earth did I choose all of this? But I really love who I am, and I'm grateful for that. And as you said, you know, we don't have to be people pleasers, which is something that has been ingrained in women. And gosh, I'd really love to talk more on this because all these things are coming up in my mind about it. However, I want to thank each and every one of our panelists for sharing their truth and being vulnerable. And I must say, I love my greys, Natasha. I'm just going to share this. I've had people say to me sometimes, Julie, it's because it's up, you can't really see it. But people say to me, Julie, if you want to meet a man, you need to, you know, go get your hair cut.
And Julie is just freezing at the
And
moment.
all of this. And I've just in a relationship because it's just, sorry.
Back now.
Well, you can share about
I'll let,
or would you prefer me to?
yeah, I'll let you do. I'm just listening, and then you froze, so I thought I'd better come in and just wrap
Oh,
up.
okay. Thank you. Sorry. I was just
Okay.
going to say I love my greys. I've wanted them for a long time. So with the sacred you, so once again, remember that everybody's links will be in the comments below to connect in, ask questions. So that's all there for you, their websites and how best to connect in with them. And with the Sacred You, we have a beautiful and very appealing offer, and that's that you can join the Sacred You community for 2 weeks and only pay, is it still $1?
$1, yes.
$1, like,
Yes.
and
And Julie is freezing again, so I'll just wrap up for her and just say yes, it's only $1 to join us for 2 weeks, and you get to experience numerous tribes, including Natasha's tribe, which Natasha, I don't know if
you
you've
have access to every.
spoken about. Sorry, Julie. Natasha, have you spoken about your tribe?
I briefly mentioned it at the beginning of this call, but I run the Money Mindset Manifestation Magic Tribe on Sacred to You Thursday Australian time 8:30 a.m.
Thank you.
So please
And
join us.
yes, and before we continue, just want to say a huge thank you to Sky for joining us. I know Sky has to leave because she's got a client to give all her loving healing energy to. So thank you, Sky, for joining us, and I hope to see you again sometime very, very soon.
Well, thank
and
you so
that-
much for having me, and thank you for
Okay.
your patience.
No problems. And of course, thank you to all the other women, but we will wrap up very quickly. Just want to continue. So for that $1, you get to join Natasha's tribe. You get to join our beautiful facilitators tribe, Julie, the bewitching tribe, which is amazing, all about astrology and alchemy and talking about the bewitching, healing your witch wounds. That is a place to come to heal your witch wounds. I have trouble saying that. And then after that, you can continue on. I said we've got about 20 tribes that you can try out. And do click on the links below. Come back and see us. Our next panel discussion, which Julie and our amazing, beautiful Elizabeth Kipp will be participating in, is spiritual alchemy and life affirmations, transforming yourself. And that's in 9 days' time. The links are below. And again, thank you. Thank you to Julie. Yay. Really just want to honor Julie for bringing this to Sacred You. And yes, let's have round 2, please.
Yes, thank you,
Um,
Julie.
And Alison for joining us all the way from way up north, and Elizabeth, who's not too far away, well, in the center of America. And of course, Natasha, who's tuning in from India. We are all over the world today. And I'm really honored, really, really honored to be able to, I don't know, host, present, to be part of this amazing panel community, this amazing panel discussion. So thank you ever so much.
Thank you, Sophia.
And any final words, Julie, now that you're here?
To the
No.
end.
All right. Thank you. All righty.